Hello, hello. It is Erica at the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. I would like to welcome you to today's episode, Designing a Welcoming Open House for Your School. And we'll talk about best practices for showcasing your child care center today. I know that some of you are really struggling with enrollment or trying to figure out how to be different with all of these state-funded pre-K programs popping up all over the country, taking the 3 and 4-year-olds out of your programs. So you have to be different, innovative, trying to figure out the best ways to attract families. And so with that being said, we're going from a time of wait lists that are, years long, it feels like, especially if you have an infant, to maybe some of that clientele now drying up and going into these free programs. So that means you're probably having to plan a few more open houses, or you're trying to figure out ways to really showcase how you're different than those types of programs, the free programs. So I want to see if I can help you the best that I can. So let me help you with planning your open house. And again, you may have been doing open houses for years and years, but it looks a little different because now we're competing against I hate to use the word competitor, and I even hate to use the word compete, but now there is a different landscape. That's more how I want to say it, because I believe in collaboration. I believe in community. I believe in all of those things. And I also believe that some private centers can also be tapping into that money that is being allocated for these spaces. So, with all that being said, it isn't all bad. So let's talk about planning your open house. The first thing is you want to make sure that you set clear objectives. You don't want to just have an open house to have an open house. So set something that's very clear. So an example would be, I want to increase my enrollments by 15%. I want to introduce new curriculum or enhance community connections. Make sure that you know what it is that you want to do, right? It could be one of those 3. It could be all of those 3. So take some action. So the action steps would be, you want to write specific goals for the open house and then communicate those goals to your team to make sure everyone is aligned. So let's take that example of introducing new curriculum. Maybe your teachers are really excited about it and they start doing some activities that are aligned with your new curriculum. And we're recording those activities and we're sharing it on our social media pages. We're sharing it on our website. We're sharing it on community pages, right? And you could do that without putting pictures or faces of children. You can shoot video that just shows hands of children manipulating things. Be conscientious when you're using your social media, but that could be one way. You could also have a parent night where you talk about your new curriculum. And you can ask families who are really excited about the new curriculum to tell their friends and families and invite them over to the open house. So that's just one example, but be specific on why you're having the open house. For some of you, you may not have a problem with enrollment. You may be full. And so maybe it's more of you want people to really know what you're doing at your program. You really want to stand out and be that go-to center that everybody wants to put their child in. So have a plan is my point. Once you have those defined goals, you also want to think about who is your target audience. Is it prospective families that we're looking for? Or maybe we're looking to connect with more local community members? Or maybe even our current families and potential partners. So maybe it's you want to introduce this new curriculum so that your current families are not enticed to move to a free program or a different program. So maybe by keeping things fresh, new, and exciting, you will keep your customer retention. And that's really important. I don't want you always to focus on how are we getting new people. Now, new people sure are important to make sure that we're still connecting with them. Absolutely. But if you get 3 new people while you've lost 5 people out the back door, is not a good business strategy. So make sure that when you're doing the open houses, and perhaps you have 2 different kinds of open houses. Maybe you have one where you are seeking prospective parents and prospective enrollments. And maybe the second open house you have is for your current families and making them feel welcome and doing all the things that we know are necessary when we are a service-driven business. I want you to, when you are identifying your groups, after you've done that, do some action steps. Create an invite list. Segment it based on interest, and then tailor your event to appeal to these groups. So again, like I said, you may hold 2 different types of events, one on how to attract new customers and one on keeping your current customers engaged with your brand, with your teachers, and make those look different. Maybe you could even, on those current customers, this is a wonderful time where you can make a big board in your center where you are making those that have been with you for 3, 4, 5, 6 years feel like VIPs. Maybe you're making a VIP board in your front entryway, with years of, just like we do with teachers, years of service. Maybe we do that for our families, like years that they have been loyal to your business, to your brand. And honestly, I have to tell you, if you don't already know, September is peak enrollment season for many of us. And so peak enrollment season also means peak time that your customers are looking at other programs, because everybody is marketing right now. Everybody is throwing an open house. Everybody is, enticing folks to come to their program for the new school year. So you don't want to forget about those families that are with you now. Because if you do, and the program down the street is offering, a month of free childcare, and look at our new playground, or look at our new building, or, your families might be enticed to stop by that open house. And if they do a really good job and you haven't done your part in keeping your customers happy or staying connected with your customers, they're jumping ship. I can't tell you how many people I have toured in the last 3 weeks that their child is currently enrolled in another center. I know I'm not the only one. So I know that this happens to you too. You want to make sure that you are not neglecting your current customers. You want to choose the right date and time. So optimal timing. Avoid holidays or holiday weekends or major local events. Choose a time that is convenient for working parents, such as early evenings or weekends, and you might even need to see if you can have a room that's open for childcare. That might need to be a thing. If you have a parent who, doesn't have anybody to care for their child, or even better yet, invite the children too to come to the open house. But nonetheless, I would still have 1 or 2 people that are there that can open up a room, that can run childcare services while you are doing paperwork, while you're going over how to register a child, all of those pieces. Make it as convenient as possible for families. So make sure that you're checking the local calendars, making sure you're consulting with, especially if you run a school age program, that you're not running an open house on the same night that the school is doing an open house. Disaster, right? So make sure that you've checked everywhere that you can, and consult with your team to select a date and a time that maximizes attendance, because as many of your team as possible at that event will certainly help you seal the deal. Other things you need to consider is parking and transportation. Make sure that you have lots of parking. So if you only have, I'm going to say maybe you only have 15 parking spots, ask your staff to maybe park somewhere off-site. Maybe if you have a daycare van, or they could carpool and only take 1 or 2 spots, so that way you have maximum amount of parking, because sometimes that's a deterrent. Now, let's face it. How many times have you pulled into a store and there was no parking and you pulled right out and went to another store, right? So that is a big deterrent for people. And make sure that you have accessible transportation options. Provide clear directions to your center. That's another thing. What door do they go to? Many centers have multiple doors that are fire egresses, but only one main door. Make sure that it is very obvious to someone who's never toured your center before where the main door is at. And one of my centers is like that. We have lots of doors, and one of the doors happens to be on the main road, but that is not our parent entrance. Our parent entrance is on the side. So again, you want to make this easy. You want to look at all those small details that will make their experience wonderful and make them want to enroll with you. Make sure that you have created a detailed plan. Have an event agenda. So include registration, guided tours, presentations, interactive activities, and Q&A sessions. And this is where pulling your team in will really be helpful. Maybe you have one or two of your staff that are really detail-oriented and love paperwork. That would be where I would raise my hand and say, not me, not I, not it. So, have a registration table. Have people that are really great at tours do your guided tours. Have your teachers that are really great at workshops or presenting, have them do little mini presentations. Have some interactive activities with your really fun, outgoing staff where they are doing these activities with children or families as they come in. And then Q&A sessions. Now, I like to do the Q&A sessions because, again, I like to showcase myself as the professional, as the leader of my program. Not to say I'm the only one who could do Q&A, but I certainly, if I had to pick, I would be on the Q&A sessions for sure. Sometimes people have questions they don't even know they have questions about. I think that's probably why I like to be there, because if I think that there are questions that should be asked that people aren't asking, I'm going to bring them up. So some action steps for you to be able to create this detailed plan. Draft that detailed schedule, assign times for each activity, and share the agenda with your team, and then allow them to pick how they would like to help. Also on there too, I didn't even mention, like maybe somebody who is a greeter or likes to do decorations. So I have some staff that are very introvert, and then I have some that are not. I wouldn't put my introvert people and make them do things that they're not comfortable with, like being the greeter, right? So roles could be greeters, tour guides, registration desk staff, activity coordinators, and then prep the role assignment sheet to ensure that all staff understand their responsibilities and conduct a pre-event briefing. So it needs to be more than, all right, you're going to take care of the activities. All right, that's Susie. We'll follow up with Susie. What activity is she going to do? What supplies does she need? What does the time frame look like? All of those things. Get those details. And you might even be able to, not you, the owner, and not you, the director, because there are so many things that I think really help people grow. And it's these types of opportunities that I love to delegate to my staff. And when I say delegate, I don't mean give to them and then I don't have any part of. What I mean is I let them take the lead. I let them take the lead, and I see myself, into one of the other roles, where they can see me as, I don't want to say a peer. That's probably not the right word, but on the same team as them. We are working together, right? Sometimes when you're the leader, you're in the front of the bus. Sometimes you're in the middle of the bus, and sometimes you're at the end of the bus, right? Just know where you need to be on that bus, and it will be a successful event. Setting up the event space. You want to make sure that you create a warm and inviting atmosphere. Make sure you have some decorations, use bright colors or something that has a theme, or is center branded materials like your banners and your signs. And if you use bright colors, maybe even use the colors of your school, of your brand. That again, that's a nonverbal visual cue. This is where you belong. Plan and source decorations, set up the space in advance, and ensure that the environment is inviting and reflects your center's culture. This is where I talk about a museum school. I'm not a museum school. I want children to be able to touch things. I want children to be able to explore the classroom that they would be in. Now, does that mean that I want them to ransack my room? Of course not. It means that at our school, if we're going to play with a material, go ahead and play with that material. And when you're done, we ask that you put it back on the shelf. Simple, easy, and it also helps children understand what it would look like a day in our classroom. So, and make it easy. If you don't have a system, I'm going to give a little plug to my girl, Andrea Dickinson. But if you don't have a system, you can check out Andrea Dickinson. Again, not a sponsor of our show. I love her color-coded bin system and tray system. I think it's wonderful, and it makes it very easy for kids to know where to put things back. It makes it very easy when you're walking parents around and you say, this area is our science area and this area is our area. And of course, we all know as educators that many of the domains connect and many of the domains go together. I know that, you know that. Even the 3-year-olds know that we learn science when we're mixing, colors and paint in the art area. But my point is, it makes it easy for people to put things back, and it just makes it easier. So I'm sorry, it kind of went off, but that would be something that I would do. I want children to be able to touch the things in the classroom. You want to make sure that you have comfortable seating. Arrange for seating that is comfortable. Ensure that there is good lighting. Make sure that the center is clean. Again, these are things that you want to do all of the time. Now, you may not have a whole lot of seating for adults in your program. Usually, it's kid-sized chairs with a couple teacher chairs, except for our school-age program, which is why we do a lot of events there that are include a lot of adults. So comfortable seating, even if you have to rent some chairs to make sure that there's a lot of seating. If you have an auditorium style or a gym style where you can set up chairs where you can do larger presentations, Q&A, etc. there in your big space, wherever that is at your program, and then let people go off and do tours of the classrooms, tours of the playground, all of, stop at the sensory bins, all those things. But make sure there's comfortable seating. Also keep in mind that somebody may bring somebody who's handicapped. Make sure that it's handicap friendly. Make sure that it's senior citizen friendly. Lots of people like to bring grandma to their school, especially if it's an event, or grandpa, or somebody who may need to be able to sit and not stand long periods of time. So keep that in mind, okay? Think of all the things ahead of time to, again, show your personality, show that you care, show that you pay attention to the details, right? Highlight key areas. When you are doing the tour, feature certain classrooms, playground areas, and special parts of your building and unique features. Design a clear tour map with signage to ensure that staff are positioned to guide visitors and provide the information, especially if they're walking around and they've never been in your center before, right? They don't know where the 2-year-old room is or the infant room, right? The greeters are saying hello and welcome, but they're not walking people through, right? So your tour guides might be taking someone through a tour and more people show up, right? We could be so lucky that our open house is packed and full of people. You could also do where the tours, kind of go out, larger group tours, go out every 10 minutes. So when someone arrives, maybe we wait, 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the flow of traffic. If it's really super busy like that, maybe you take 3 or 4 families at a time. There's a lot of ways you can do it. So think about it, but think about if you're really busy, do you have enough staff, and how will you function, and how will you plan out the whole tour thing if you get really busy? So maybe it's just you station staff and you allow people to have the map and walk throughout. Again, depends on the size of your center. Make sure that those interactive stations are fun. Make sure that you have demo areas. Set up interactive stations with engaging materials. Ensure that the staff are ready to facilitate activities and interact with visitors. And they better do a really good job at it, right? So your A players who bring that love, enthusiasm, passion for teaching, that's who you need to have in those spaces. Even I would love to do story time. I love literacy. I love reading books larger than life. I love acting them out. I love incorporating the kids as part of the story, all those things. So if you have that type of personality, don't stick yourself behind a registration desk. Make sure that you are interacting. Get your people who are really, really good with people. Make sure that you do that. That really is going to be a big difference That's just going to be what makes people sign up. It's not going to be your fancy playground. It's going to be you. It's going to be those personalities. And I know that I say it often because I'm hoping it will stick. Prepare for engagement. Do some informative booths, brochures, program details, enrollment forms, contact information. Even if you collaborate, maybe you work with child intervention or child outreach, early intervention. You work with those agencies. Maybe you invite them to come in and have a booth set up. Maybe you have we have RIPAN, a Rhode Island Parent Network. Maybe you ask them to come in and set up a table where parents can learn more. Maybe there is a literacy program or center that's somewhere near your program where you collaborate. Think about how many other agencies that you can bring in to make your open house amazing and interactive and give parents opportunities to talk to other people who will support their children when they are enrolled in your program outside of your team. Interactive activities could be sample lessons, could be educational games, they could be storytelling sessions. Plan and prepare activities that reflect your center's programs. Ensure that the staff are trained to lead these activities. That's really important because you want to show how competent your teachers are. Promote your open house. So we'll talk a little bit about marketing for a minute. You want to utilize multiple channels. You want to utilize social media, create engaging posts with images and videos, use targeted ads, and regularly update with event details. And if you have an events page, especially on Facebook, those are great because people can share them with friends. You can share them with the larger community. And it really does help you get people outside of your normal circle of influence. Same thing with targeted ads. You want to, do it with your zip code so that it would be children that could inherently go to your program. But make sure that you are doing some of those strategies as well. Now, I don't always recommend flyers, but in this case, an open house, you could do a few strategic open house flyers at your local library, the local kids cut place, places where parents might be hanging out for a little bit, the coffee shop. I don't go too crazy with flyers, but I think a few strategically placed flyers are not a bad idea. Develop a content calendar, design posts, and schedule them for maximum impact. So if you're having an event on Tuesday, don't post on Monday. You need to post at least a month in advance. So we're early in, again, we're in Rhode Island here, but we're early into our school year starting. I know some schools have already started, especially in the hotter states. Hotter. That's how I talk my Rhode Island accent. Hotter, like heat. Hotter states, they start a little bit earlier than us. So some of you may already be holding your open houses. So sorry, I'm a little delayed on that aspect, but it's early August over here. So we're still in summer camp mode. So I want to make sure that you get the best of what you can. So you could do email markets and campaigns. You can do that through people who have visited your center before, but maybe didn't enroll. You can send invitations to anybody who has visited your website and you've captured that information. Any place that you think there would be large numbers of children, maybe you can connect with those agencies, send them an email and ask if they would not mind sharing it with their email list. And one of the things I do like about the Facebook page, I don't want to say community page, but Facebook event page, is that people can respond and they can RSVP. So that will give you an idea if you have 5 people coming or 500 people coming. So it will help you with your preparation. You want to craft and send initial invites and follow-up reminders and track the responses. Again, just to help you be better prepared. The worst thing is you have I guess it's not the worst thing, but I'm going to say the worst thing is that you're super, super busy and you didn't have enough materials. You didn't have enough things. You didn't have enough interactive things for people to take home. It makes you look unprepared. So just be prepared to be prepared, if that makes sense. You want to leverage your community networks. As I had said before, partner with local businesses, schools, and organizations that can share your event information. Especially if you run a school age program, reach out to the schools and ask them, are they able to put something out on their Aspen, on their, on their porthole for families. And sometimes they can't really promote one center over another, which is understandable. But many of them do have a list when parents say what childcare centers service the school. They usually have a list. And so treat your secretaries right, because the better experience they have with you, the more they're going to say, hey, I can't really tell you what center to go to, but I know these 4 centers are having an open house. Here's the dates. As I said before, flyers and posters distribute at high traffic areas such as community centers. You want to make sure that when you design your flyers, that you distribute them strategically and ensure that they are predominantly displayed, and make sure all the details are there. I can't tell you how many times I've made something and forgot a time or a date or the details or where I want people to park. I mean, it happens to the best of us. I don't pretend to be perfect. But, have 2 or 3 people proof your flyer before it goes out. Maybe somebody who knows nothing about the event. That way, anything that was missed, that everybody who's in the know already knows, they might not catch it. And engage your current families. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is good and bad. So you want to make sure you get as much positive word of mouth as possible. Encourage your current families to invite friends and share the event details. And provide families with promotional materials and maybe even offer incentives for referrals. You can offer discounts on enrollment fees. Sometimes we've done that where we waive the enrollment fee if they enroll that day, or small gift cards for successful referrals. You could do that too. Something that will help incentivize people to really push that extra for you. If they really love you, they're going to do it anyway. They want your program to be stable. They want your program to survive. They want you to be successful. That's why they send their children to you. End of story. They trust you. That's why they send their children to you. They know you're a small business in most cases. Sometimes they really like that. And for those of you who run a franchise, no disrespect, both have pros and cons. But, if you're a small mom and pop kind of place, people really, especially now after the pandemic, really people are getting behind those types of businesses because they're so important to small communities. And most childcare centers are a family childcare or family owned and run. Today we are running a little long, so I do apologize, but I really want to make sure that we touch all these things. To execute a open house, you want to make sure it's warm and welcome. Greeting guests. Sorry about that. You're going to have to edit that out, D. Somebody's calling my phone, and I guess the notifications are on. All right, let me go back to, I know we're running a little long, but executing an open house. You want to make sure that you have a warm welcoming for the guests. Have the staff at the entryway to warmly welcome attendees, provide event materials, and answer any initial questions. Make sure that you train your staff on greeting techniques. Ensure that they are stationed at key points and provide a friendly reception. Also, the registration, we didn't really talk about that. You want to set up a sign-in table with registration forms, name tags, and event schedules. So that way you're capturing information of everybody who walks through your center. You want to prepare registration materials ahead of time and have staff assist with sign-in and provide information about the event. So if you have, I don't know, I'm going to make this up. You have an entertainer that's coming in at 1:00 to do balloon balloon animals for the kids, whatever it is. Make sure you let people know what time that those events are happening. Also at your registration table, so you should have two types of registration. Registration for people who just come to the event, and then registration for people who want to do on-the-spot enrollment. So have both and have them be separate, because those tables could get really busy really quickly, and you don't want people to kind of discard either one of those. Showcase your program's strengths. Develop engaging presentations on key features such as your curriculum, your staff expertise, and facilities. And especially if you have tenured staff, this is a great time to really brag about the team you have. Whether it's they've been there for 20 years, whether it's you have a girl with a double master's degree in your infant room, as I do. Thank you, Miss Brittany. All of those things. So you have licensed school teachers who work at your facility. Thank you, Miss Marcy. Thank you, Miss Barbara, right? I've got them too, but brag about them. They're important. Or, directors that are so engaged in your program that they take customer service to a whole nother level. Thank you, Ange and Chris and Haley. So there's so many amazing, wonderful folks on my team that do this for me and my center and my customers every day. So make sure that you highlight your amazing staff and their expertise. Share some success stories, share some parent testimonials. Maybe you even have some parents who are willing to be on site and let folks know, as I said, earlier, when you do a large presentation in your gym area or whatever space you have that can accommodate a large group of people for you to talk, pull up a parent or two to share success about their child's experience and their experience at your program. And then, those Q&A sessions, I love, love, love those. You can host an interactive Q&A session for attendees and who ask questions about the program and the center. You can even do a Facebook Live if you are so daring. You can do a Facebook Live too, and then you can record that, and then you can put that up on your social media, and people can use that to refer to moving forward too. So lots of fun things that you can do there. But prepare a list of anticipated questions. Designate knowledgeable staff to lead the sessions and ensure staff are ready to provide detailed answers, which is why I love to be there. Teachers, how they can help. Well, they can help with engaging visitors. They can conduct those live demonstrations that we talked about. They can also share insights and experiences. Teachers can share their own personal experiences and success stories and the impact of the centers for them, right? The impact of working at the center. Many of my teachers also have children who have grown up through our program. Some their kids have grown out of and they're still employed at my school, but have the teachers share, or have them share about how when they first started, they just had a high school diploma and now they're on their, second or third degree. They're working on their bachelor's degree or their master's degree. Let them share their personal experiences. I think that the more transparent you are, the more families are going to want to enroll. And for God's sakes, please interact with the children. Make sure that the teachers are able to facilitate fun educational activities for the children who are visiting and highlight what children are learning. Because again, if you're a play-based program, we are often talking about how children learn through play. So it's really cool for the parents to get the behind the scenes and be able to see how children are, tracing the letter A in sand, or making the letter F in Play-Doh, or using stampers in the Play-Doh to write their name or print their name, or punch their name, I guess would be the appropriate way to say it. But, plan those child-friendly activities and ensure that your teachers are prepared to interact with the children. And assist in those logistics, of course. The teachers can help with setup and managing crowds and ensuring a smooth event. And make sure that you have assigned tasks and that you've put the correct people in the correct spots. So we're getting to the end here. Last thing I would say is following up after the event. Thank you notes, sending those personalized thank you notes or emails to attendees, expressing appreciation for their visit. Action steps could be draft and send thank you messages, including a recap of the open house and any additional information on enrollment, and then provide materials on how people can enroll with you. You can send up follow-up packages and event highlights. So that's it for today's episode. I hope that I know it was a little bit longer, and a few of these I think might be a little bit longer as we head into the back to school season. And I want to make sure that all of us are full and all of us are thriving. And so with that, I'm going to give you the best of what I know of 25 years of open houses and enrollment and working with families and teachers, and, letting your teachers be a part of it. Because again, at the end of the day, they're the heartbeat of our school. They are really what makes everything just come to life. Because without that, it's a building, folks, and without them you can't lead. You can't lead nobody. So you really you have to say thank you to your educators that are in the field, and also thank you to you amazing directors out there plugging in, making sure you're following up with best practice and tuning into not just my podcast, but other people's podcasts, getting different perspectives and continuing to learn from each other and collaborate with each other. Because at the end of the day, that's how our industry is going to survive. If you like today's episode, I'm going to ask that you please support our show with something as small as $10 a month. You just hit that support the show link. $10 a month. It helps us with the cost of production for the podcast and our YouTube channel. We appreciate your support so much. And thank you as always for tuning in. Remember, it's the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. And we know it's no small feat. So thank you again for tuning in and have a great day.